So I got a call from a buddy of mine the other day. He called me up and was asking me. He had a few questions about money, and he wanted to talk about money. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this guy asking me, right? Um, and then I got thinking about it a little bit further, and then I said, this guy really doesn't know who he just asked. I've been studying it for a little bit now. Um, so I said, all right, we'll get together and stuff like that and talk about money and talk about, I guess he must have got a stimulus check. So I know he had that money burning a hole in his pocket. Um, but so I said, yeah, let's get together. We'll see what's going on now. I don't really like to give financial advice. I mean, I can just tell people what I do and, some of the things that I learn. But at the end of the day, the money that you have in your pocket is your money in your pocket. You got to make a decision on what you want to do with it, right? Not what I want to do with your money. Um, but that's one of the big questions, right? A lot of people don't know, what that next step is or what the options even are, right? Um, so after a little bit of research, um, I put it together really quick so people can get kind of a bird's eye view at what it looks like and what some of those options might be, right? Most people, when they think about investing, they think about the stock market, right? That's top of their mind is the stock markets because of the fact that everybody's in the stock market. And I said to him, I said, you know how you tell it's too late to get into the stock market? When everybody around the room, just like him and I, were sitting there talking about the stock market. That's when it's too late. Everybody knows you missed the boat, right? But it's popular right now because stocks are going to the moon, right? Everybody saw what happened with GameStop and Tesla and all these big companies, but be cautious. I told them, I said, anything connected to the paper market is not for me. Crickets. Why did I get crickets? Because he doesn't know what the paper market means. One of my points. So I drew it out of my board. So I'll show you guys really quick. Looks like this, right? So it's important to pick the right asset class. And it's split up in between four primary asset classes. We can see it here: business, real estate, commodities, and paper. And this is what I'm talking about with the paper market, right? Here are some of the strategies. You can see stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. They all belong to the paper market. And the paper market is no good, right? Because what we're seeing now is the prices of these stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, things like that, they're skyrocketing, but which is good. It's profitable in the short term. But like I said to him, what's his goal? Short term, long term? Yeah, so he has to make that decision. But that's what I mean when I was talking about, anything connected to the paper market is not where I'd like to invest any additional income that I have, right? It's risky. It's very risky. And when you think about risk, you think about, well, what is risk, right? Risk is the probability of loss. So what's the likelihood? And if it does occur, what's the impact, right? So likelihood and impact, those are two factors that play a big role in risk that have to be taken into consideration, right? But thankfully, there's other areas that you can invest in, right? It wasn't always that the stock market, was quote unquote bad or just an asset class that I wouldn't invest in. There were some good times. There still are some good times, but when it crashes, and it's hard to determine when it crashes, you can lose your money very, very quickly. So just be cautious about that. Another thing I wanted to point out to him was kind of the the thought of a diversified portfolio. He's thinking of it like a diversified portfolio would be a portfolio of stocks, right? But it's not necessarily. That's not how these the folks with a little bit of money in their pocket look at diversification. I mean, a lot of people do, but if you really want to diversify, you'd want to diversify over the four asset classes rather than diversify within a single asset class, right? So here again are your asset classes. So I'm talking about zooming in and only investing in this asset class, whether it be, splitting it up with multiple different stocks, right? That's what most people think of diversification as. But if you zoom out a little bit and you diversify over all four of these asset classes, then it becomes a much more diverse portfolio within different asset classes, which is where you want to be. And there's different strategies as well within these asset classes. I listed out a few. These are probably the most popular, right? So we'll go over them really quick. So we talked about the paper asset class, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Above that is business, right? The business asset class. There's different types of strategies within that business asset class. Brick and mortar businesses, which are businesses that have physical walls and concrete and things like that. Then you have online businesses, and then you have hybrid businesses, right? Which are both brick and mortar and online, right? So that's pretty straightforward. Another asset class is real estate, right? Here are a few strategies that people like to use in real estate. Buy and hold, which is you renting it out and you being the landlord. Fix and flip, you find a good deal, dilapidated house, you fix it up, put some money into it, and flip it. And subject to and lease option, right? So this is, we're talking about two pieces of each one of these strategies is, well, for real estate, you have to think about how do you acquire the property, right? And then how do you dispose of the property, right? So how are you going to buy the house, right? And once you have the house, then what do you do with it? How are you going to get rid of it? Whether you're going to hang on to it and get a spread each month, or are you going to purchase the property, fix it up, put some money into it? Obviously, you're incurring cost over a period of time with that strategy. But those are some of the primary ones that people like to invest in. The last one here, the fourth area of asset classes are commodities. Commodities are things like corn, soybeans, sugar, coal, and precious metals, right? So each one of these categories have risks that need to be taken into consideration. So I would just say do your research on each one. I know which ones I choose, yeah, you'll have to figure it out. Good luck.